So the debate commission completely blindsides the Trump administration today and says that the future debates will be held through like a Zoom call. And Trump has said absolutely not. Anybody who doesn't understand why he said no, I did an hour-long episode just a couple of days ago about Biden reading teleprompters. And in that episode, there was a scene where Biden was reading from a teleprompter that was actually off to the left of him, and he was looking at an interviewer, or supposedly looking at an interviewer. So he was conducting a live interview, and he had a teleprompter off to the left so that you couldn't tell that he was actually reading the responses to the supposedly unknown questions that this reporter was asking him. You can go right and look at that video. Biden reads from a teleprompter. Biden reads from a teleprompter. Anytime you see him making public statements, Biden is reading from a teleprompter. And so the idea that these debates are going to be in a format where Biden could be literally being fed the answers on the same computer screen that he's doing the Zoom call on or whatever they set up is absolutely insane. It is way too open to cheating. And if any presidential election team has gotten good at cheating with teleprompters, it's the Biden administration. So yeah, no, I don't think that Trump is going to allow that to go forward. I mean, these people would be able to turn off mics, turn off the entire camera. He has no audience. It's the whole thing is completely asinine. And so Trump said no. Well, former Senator, Vice Presidential candidate Joe Lieberman was on the Brian Kilmeade show, and I want you to listen to his response to the whole situation because I think it's pretty telling.
Former Democratic vice presidential candidate, respected on both sides of the aisle, former Connecticut senator. Senator, welcome back.
Thanks, Brian. Good to be back with you. What a time.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I have one idea for you to talk about last night. I will talk about last night. But first, what do you think about the fact, first off, that the president finds out the same time we do that this debate will be virtual, not in Miami?
Yeah, that's very surprising, and I would say it's generally unacceptable. In the best of all worlds, the Commission on Presidential Debates would have had a discussion with representatives of President Trump and Vice President Biden about how to do the next debate, but just to and then come up with an agreement. But just to decide, I just don't think that was the right way to do it. The people on that commission have become somewhat very powerful and a little sort of autocratic in a way. But the second thing is
autocratic. Interesting choice of words there, Joe Lieberman.
I do hope that this initial response by the president is just an initial response, because the country needs another two debates from the presidential candidates, and frankly, the president needs another two debates, because I think his performance overall didn't please either his supporters, most of them, and certainly not people in the middle. So I hope they can work it out. Sometimes the president, he's really good at this. He has an instinct. He responds to something, but it's an initial position, and he'll negotiate to something better.
And that's absolutely true. That's one of Trump's tried and true tactics. It's because he's a negotiator, and he'll take an aggressive stance, and then he'll negotiate back towards the middle in order to come to an agreement with people. And what the media does a lot of times is they tag on to his most aggressive stance and never recognize the fact that a compromise was made. Anyways.
That happens.
Well, the thing that gets the president right away, number one, no heads up, so he's ticked off. Number two, and he's the president. My goodness.
Right.
But number two is, you know, he saw the town hall that MSNBC put out there. And they found out that two of the people that on the undecided voters have already been on MSNBC as Republicans voting.
So two of the undecided voters have already been on NBC prior to this town hall voting against Trump as rhinos, right? So they've already been on the same television show saying, we're Republican, we're voting Democrat this year. And now they're in a town hall being put forth as a undecided voter. Why? Probably because neither one of them are true, and those people are just actors.
Against Trump and for Biden. So you saw these soft questions, and you saw this the ABC town hall with Stephanopoulos basically booking a bunch of Trump haters. He never complained, but he compared the two. And he says, wait, now we're going to do a town hall where I'm not going to see him, I'm not gonna participate with the audience, and he could. They could answer in his earpiece. They could put it in the prompter, some of his answers, almost like Rush Limbaugh is forced to do because he's deaf.
Right.
Oh, what he's saying is that when people call into Rush Limbaugh's show, he has closed captioning on his callers. So he looks at a computer screen and he reads what his callers are saying. Yeah, they could definitely do that. And not only that, but there would be other people feeding him information. There's no way that they're going to be able to do a strictly virtual town hall, and it's not going to favor Biden extraordinarily.
Right. So look, it's the president has a right. I mean, this can be solved pretty easily if the commission wants to do it by setting up a process where an entirely independent entity of some kind, maybe even a consultant of some kind, but working again with representatives of the Trump and Biden campaigns to make sure that the people asking the questions don't have a bias either way. I mean, there are companies that do this for jury selection, for instance. They check the background of people to make sure they're not tilted one way or the other. So
that's funny because if you guys know that channel Tori knows or whatever, the girl Tori that did the documentary with Millie Weaver, she talks about how they use these social media analyzing programs, these intel programs, to make sure that certain types of people get put into jury pools. Now, what Lieberman's talking about here is, like, if you hire a very expensive lawyer, he might hire a firm that will do that on the people who have already been picked onto the jury. So now that the jury selections, so you have all these people on jury, and you can hire a firm to look into all those people to decide which ones you want to pick and which ones you don't. But what Tori and Millie Weaver were suggesting was that they were able to use that program prior to that, so that only certain people were even put into the jury pool to begin with. And the thing is if you have the firms that do this for lawyers after they get the jury pool list, what makes you think that somebody isn't doing it before then to create the jury pool? It's the same tech. Why wouldn't they do it? It would almost explain how Roger Stone ended up with having the jury that he had. And if you're curious about who was put on Roger Stone's jury, I would take the time to look into that. It's a bit strange.
He's got a right to raise that question based on what the examples that you gave, Brian. But I think it's solvable, and I hope they can solve it in one way or the other.
I don't think it's solvable. I think the only way it's solvable is if there's somehow an in-person debate. I would say the only way that would work is if the vice president of the opposite candidate went into each room. So you had Pence sitting right there next to Biden, able to watch and see what he's doing in the room, and then you had Kamala Harris in Trump's room, able to see what's going on there. I don't see a problem with that. I think that would be the way to do it. But, I'm just a little guy. What the hell do I know? So I saw this tweet from Kamala Harris today because of the backlash over fracking over the debate. Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact. Do you hear that, Rust Belt? He will not ban fracking. That's a fact.
I am not banning fracking. Let me say that again. I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
Like, what about, say, stopping fracking and stopping new pipe?
I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me. No new fracking. No matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
No matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated.
We would make sure it's eliminated. Well, Joe, this flip-flopping, it's getting a little bit out of control. Which one is it? I know you guys don't want to alienate your progressive side of your base, and I know you're trying to win over the people in the Rust Belt, and you're in kind of a tough position here, but you got to pick a position. And while we're on the topic, you also got to answer, are you going to pack the courts? The American people want to know. Do you have plans on making Washington, D.C. a state? We want to know that. Why is it that they don't have to answer these questions? The two-tier justice system that we've seen, this is the two-tier media that we have, where they will not even make him answer two simple questions. They're continuously asking Donald Trump to disavow the KKK, even though he's the only president to make an executive order to have them declared a terrorist organization. You understand me? He made them a terrorist organization. You still bring up the old bullcrap Charlottesville stuff. The media is corrupt, and this shows it. They won't even make him talk about this flip-flopping, more or less answer the question on making Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. states, the question on, are you going to pack the courts? They've dodged that question twice now, and no pushback from the press. Why? There is no press. There is only the subversive media, the propaganda machine. That's my rant for the day. I'm currently working on an episode about the similarities between the current Ukraine impeachment attempt and Nancy Pelosi's late to the gun 25th Amendment push right now. And I'm just speculating here, but in the Ukraine incident, we knew for sure what we saw was Trump outmoved them. He released the transcripts of the phone call before the whistleblowers complaint and Adam Schiff could get his stuff together. Trump releases the transcripts, and then you have Adam Schiff standing up there looking like a moron, claiming that there were things in the phone call that clearly weren't there because Trump had made the move to release the transcript. It derailed the entire impeachment. Now, it didn't stop it because it's not going to stop it, but I think we're seeing the same thing here. I don't know what was going on with the CV situation. I don't know how it all played out. But what I do know is that Nancy Pelosi is out doing press conferences, and she's sounding just like Adam Schiff. The day that Schiff came out and was saying all this nonsense was in these transcripts after Trump had released the transcripts. So now we have Trump contracted CV, took an experimental therapeutic, got 1,000% better, back at the White House, making good sense and having long conversations. He's right now in the middle of a 3-hour interview on Rush Limbaugh, no breaks. So he's completely healthy again. And here comes Nancy Pelosi with this 25th Amendment push. It takes time and it takes a lot of work to put these things together. This is a bill that she has. So what am I saying? I'm saying that Nancy Pelosi is standing right where Adam Schiff was standing over the Ukraine scandal right now. She's having a press conference, making herself look foolish because it was all planned to come out while Trump was very sick. However he did this, whether him and the staff and all these Republicans were infected or whether all these Republicans all were in on it, the theater, we don't know. We definitely won't know. But for sure, this is maneuvering and it's political. Now, working on that. In the meantime, one of the things that I've had to talk about with my listeners over and over and over again is the concern that they have over Trump pushing the vaccines. I have been trying to explain to people that there's a large swath of the population that is just not going to ever be okay with a president who's an anti-vaxxer, and that he's going to get labeled that the second he brings up any questions about vaccines. He's in a position where he cannot come out and just say, vaccines don't work, they cause horrible side effects, we're not going to pursue one. There's no way he would stay in the presidency. So I've been waiting to see what the maneuver is because he's got to somehow usurp the vaccine without being against the vaccine. And just like this whole DT got the CV situation has got Nancy looking stupid, I think it's also shown what the alternative how he's going to get around the vaccine without being labeled the anti-vaxxer. And all you need to do is listen to this press release and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president. And I'm standing in front of the Oval Office at the White House, which is always an exciting place to be. I got back a day ago from Walter Reed Medical Center. I spent 4 days there and didn't have to. I could have stayed at the White House, but the doctor said, because you're president, let's do it. I said, fine. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to listen. These are great professionals. They've done a fantastic job. And by the way, not only at Walter Reed, all over the country, we have the greatest doctors in the world. We have the greatest nurses, the greatest first responders, law enforcement, by the way, incredible. Firefighters, everybody. They're just great. We have great people. This is a great country. But I spent 4 days there, and I went in, I wasn't feeling so hot. And within a very short period of time, they gave me Regeneron. It's called Regeneron. And other things too, but I think this was the key. But they gave me Regeneron, and it was like unbelievable. I felt good immediately. I felt as good 3 days ago as I do now. So I just want to say we have Regeneron. We have a very similar drug from Eli Lilly, and they're coming out, and we're trying to get them on an emergency basis. We've authorized it. I've authorized it. And if you're in the hospital and you're feeling really bad, I think we're going to work it so that you get them and you're going to get them free. And especially if you're a senior, we're going to get you in there quick. We have hundreds of thousands of doses that are just about ready. I have emergency use authorization all set, and we got to get it signed now. And you're going to get better. You're going to get better really fast. This is things that nobody even thought of a few months ago. The job that the scientists, the labs, everybody have done is incredible. Then in addition to that, you have various other drugs that help a lot, but these, I view these, I know they call them therapeutic, but to me it wasn't therapeutic, it just made me better, okay? I call that a cure. So I want to get these things done. So we have to get them done, we have to get them approved, and I want to get them to the hospitals where people are feeling badly. That's much more important to me than the vaccine. But on the vaccines, we have many companies that are in final stages for the vaccines, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, all great companies, but many of them. And we're going to have a great vaccine very, very shortly. I think we should have it before the election, but frankly, the politics gets involved, and that's okay. They want to play their games. It's going to be right after the election. But we did it, nobody else. Nobody else would have been able to do it. The FDA has acted as quickly as they've ever acted in history. There's never been a time, and no president's ever pushed them like I pushed them either, to be honest with you. But the FDA is approving things in a matter of weeks that used to take a matter of years. So we have these drugs, Eli Lilly and the others that are so good, but they are, in my opinion, remember this, they're going to say that they're therapeutic, and I guess they are therapeutic. Some people don't know how to define therapeutic. I view it different. It's a cure. For me, I walked in, I didn't feel good. A short 24 hours later, I was feeling great. I wanted to get out of the hospital. And that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to be given the same treatment as your president, because I feel great. I feel like perfect. So I think this was a blessing from God that I caught it. This was a blessing in disguise. I caught it. I heard about this drug. I said, let me take it. It was my suggestion. I said, let me take it. And it was incredible the way it worked, incredible. And I think if I didn't catch it, we'd be looking at that like a number of other drugs. But it really did a fantastic job. I want to get for you what I got, and I'm going to make it free. You're not going to pay for it. It wasn't your fault that this happened. It was China's fault. And China's going to pay a big price, what they've done to this country. China's going to pay a big price, what they've done to the world. This was China's fault. And just remember that. So we're going to get you the drug. It's going to be free. We're going to get it into the hospitals as soon as you can, as soon as we can. And you'll see some amazing things happen because we have, our military is doing the distribution. It's called logistics. And they deliver hundreds of thousands of troops in a matter of days. This is easy stuff for them. Our generals already, we're waiting for the emergency use authorization, and the drug companies have just made a lot of it. So hopefully this is going to be not just a therapeutic, it's going to be much more than a therapeutic. You're going to get better fast, just like I did. So again, a blessing in disguise. Good luck.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that sounds like a pivot away from the vaccine? Something that I've been saying we needed to look for, that he was basically backed into having to push this vaccine because of public opinion, yet after his own quote, personal experience with CV, he's, quote, found a revolutionary therapeutic that, quote, he calls a cure and, quote, will be free to the entire American public. And in the same conversation, he says, and on the vaccines, we're working to get them out fast as possible. But this seems like a pretty valid pivot to me. If one were looking for him to have a way to pivot away from the vaccine and towards a therapeutic, this would be it. This is him on his Twitter essentially saying that there is a cure for the CV for the vast majority of people, and it's this Regeneron solution that puts antibodies for the CV into your body. And we're going to do our due diligence on this Regeneron solution so that we can figure out just what exactly is going on. But straight away, what do I like better about this than a vaccine? And the answer's obvious. This is a choice that a patient who is very ill can make with their doctor. We don't have to give this to 60 million healthy Americans. This is the big problem I have with the vaccines. You have to convince a perfectly healthy person to inject themselves with unknown substances in the hopes of benefiting other people. In this case, in the case of a therapeutic, you have somebody who's already very sick, you have somebody who's already in the risk category, and then they get to make a personal choice about whether or not they ingest this solution. So the sick make that decision, not 60 million healthy Americans. That being said, we're still going to look into it. If there's a cure for this, it's pretty much a game changer, right? But we're not seeing that very much in the news, are we? Anyways, guys, like, share, sub the channel. If you would like to support our growth as a channel, all the ways to donate are in the first pinned comment below. All right, guys. Peace.